Okay, well, maybe since the missionaries is the oldest part of the story today, if you could tell us a few things about that.
Okay. From what I have learned from observation was when the missionaries came, the black robes stated the fact that thou shalt not kill, and that kept the Flatheads and the Kootenays from killing one another too much and killing the other tribal members and the whites too, because they were told if you ever commit a murder once, then you'll go straight to hell. And some of the Flatheads especially believed in that religion so much that they became first-class religious fanatics. However, unfortunately, since the growth of so many different churches all over America and the world, and then there are more than one type of religion, like the churches here in Europe and America, and then the Muslims, and where the Orientals worship the Bogota or Bogota, whichever word is correct. Now then it made the Flatheads and the Nazis wonder if Catholic or church, the Catholic religion was authentic or not. Because now if they thought that people wanted to learn about the Christ, why doesn't he ever show up so that we can all see him to let us know that he does exist? But the people will naturally say that he will show up on the last day. Now why wait until the last day then? Now Christ was born in about 1,888 years ago. And now, why was he born just, amongst the whites? Why wasn't he born in Africa, Asia, and North and South America too? It seemed like Christ could have caused some other virgin girls to become pregnant and teach the religion by that method, the Christ method. But that happened only in Europe. Now, therefore, the Indians have questioned about the authenticity of the Catholic religion, or the church religion especially. And some have gone to such a degree where they don't believe in religion anymore, like I do. I am a Catholic, but I hardly ever go to Catholic church, only on two special occasions. That's during the funerals and weddings. And I have been asked to join the Mormons, but I wouldn't do it. Now, the reason why I don't go to a Catholic religion anymore is when I was about to get married for the fourth time, I was told that I have to get married right here in Ronan, in my hometown. They wouldn't let us get married at Mission, although Mission was usually our main place to go to church every big holiday like Easter and Christmas. And Father Balfe told me that you could go to Chicago every weekend for a church, but you still have to get married here in Ronan. Now, just about a month prior to the marriage ceremony, then the local priest would announce the fact that Larry Park and his bride are to be married on a certain day, which that ceremony would be announced a month in advance. And if there was any objection from the congregation, then we could not get married. And I thought that sure was the most stupid, damn rotten thing ever invented by the religion. And that really made me hate a Catholic church. Now, the Mormons also have a church which shows that they're bestowing too much of a dictatorial powers is the fact that at Carson they have the world capital of a church there, and a Mormon cannot go to that church only after he has qualified himself to become a member of that main church to go there. Nobody can go there, and I thought that was also a sort of a stupid thing. And therefore, as far as I'm concerned, I do not care for any religion whatsoever. And the Catholic religion has declined a lot since the 1920s. They did have the boys' father school at Mission, and but the two kids told me, don't go to that school, it's too much like a reform school. And then they had Ursuline School for girls, and then that has also declined, although the Flathead population has increased. Up to now, there are about 7,000 of us or so, but you couldn't get to any boys to go to the Father's School Mission or girls at Ursuline. They don't, well, those two schools do not exist there anymore. However, I do know that some schools have succeeded in perpetuating their school, like possibly like Loyola at Missoula and Notre Dame at South Bend, and other schools too around the country, like colleges and universities and possibly high schools. But around here, it has sure deteriorated to such a degree where no one seems to care to go to those Catholic schools anymore. And now a lot of the Indian kids here at the present time do not believe in religion anymore. Therefore, they indulge themselves into various mischiefs, like committing various kinds of crimes which will break some of the Ten Commandments. And I don't know what the future of the church here is around the Flathead Reservation, and I couldn't care less myself. However, it's not the church that has made me become one of the most honest kids on a reservation, or one of the law-abiding citizens. It was the two things I learned in college when I entered my freshman year was the college teaches restraint and self-discipline. I have and practiced those two things all my lifetime, and I will continue the rest of my life. And I have been trying to teach this idea to other kids. I don't know if they're too dumb to learn or what. Now, as far as I know, the church, Catholic Church, does not have too much of a bright future here on the reservation. And now the disease, I don't know very much about epidemics which they have had on this reservation. I do know that some Flatheads did have cancer, and two of the Indians cured themselves of the cancer. Now, I have been thinking about asking or inquiring around what medicine they used to cure themselves of that disease, but I don't know if anyone would know now. And furthermore, whenever the Indians now have a certain cure for a disease, they have no desire to divulge that to the public, because of course, the doctors will just grab that idea and then make themselves fabulously rich from it. Like if they were to give a free medical aid upon learning those things, then we could gladly, freely tell them about our medicine. But when the doctors learn, then they charge such a big price. One treatment would cost probably a whole year's of salary from our savings. They just make a hog of themselves from the information. Now we do have other medicine which we use ourselves, and we do not necessarily have to have a doctor. But that does not mean that every flathead has a knowledge of those different types of medicines. Just a few of us know them. Now, I am 73, but I do know that I'm not going to live very long now, because according to the statistics, in about 2 more months I'm supposed to die at the age of 73. That's a lifelong span of the individuals around America. However, I have been told that since I don't drink at all, I might outlive a lot of the men now who are of the same age as I, because the alcohol does eat up the person's liver and kidneys. Therefore, in a short time, then they pass on into the next world. Now, fortunately, my liver and kidneys are in a #1 condition, I think, but I do know I have other diseases which I should go to the doctor and or a specialist and have them give me a special treatment for the diseases which I now have. And if I don't, I might not live very long, for possibly only about 5 or 10 or 20 years or so. And
could I ask a couple more things
Yeah.
about missionaries before you move on to the next one?
yeah,
I'm just wondering if you had any stories about the missionaries' conflicts with Flathead's gambling.
What type of scandaling?
Gambling.
Oh, gambling. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the priests were very much against the gambling right from the beginning. In fact, whenever the Flatheads were playing stick games, they would hold their stick game in the woods. Then they'd have scouts around in a perimeter on that gambling. Then someone would dash back to the where they were playing stick game. They'd say, "Father so-and-so is coming in." Then they'd stop the stick game. Well, they'd put away all the things, but then they'd just sit around and just pretend to just be singing the stick game songs or other songs too. And but I guess the fathers themselves did not know that they were breaking what do you call that now? Treaty laws in regards to gambling, because the Indians specifically stipulated that they were to be permitted to gamble at the powwows. And a lot of the law enforcement officers do not know that. They have attempted to stop the gambling at the powwows, and they found out they could not. And that's what happened to that sheriff I was telling about, Sheriff J. Beaudry. And he then when the new sheriff Bill Graham and Gene Turnage took over the office. Eddie L. Trout, the manager of the Pablo Powell, went down there and asked them, are you gentlemen going to follow Wallace Beaudry's ruling about not letting the whites gamble at our powwows? And Bill Graham spoke up. He said, well, if the whites want to lose their shirts by gambling at your powwows, it'll be their business. Now that was beautiful news. Now that news filtered all over the reservation. Soon the whites realized that they will be permitted to gamble at our powwows again, rather than for them to have to clear down to Reno or Las Vegas where they're gambling. They could just go around the little powwows around here, because they could either win or lose as much as they would down in Nevada, and it's just a few miles of drive too. So when that powwow we had at Pablo, we did a landslide business in our poker games, because at the very beginning, probably in the afternoon, I'd have 3 or 4 Indians get into my poker game, and pretty soon one white man after another would come in. Then, well, since they would be playing for bigger stakes, which the Indians could not afford, so they would just get up and let the other whites get in, and boy, they would have fun. Those whites were just cheerful and laughing and joking, because they were just glad that they can gamble at the powwows again. Now, there are a lot of whites who know how to play stick game, and they know how to make bets. So therefore, a lot of them were sticking around the stick game arena 24 hours a day, and then at the poker games and blackjack. And sometimes when they do have, or did have, Walooks, then they'd be playing Walooks too. They were just having fun. And that has been going on now for years and years and years. If you do ever go to the powwows, you'll notice that there are a lot of whites who go to the powwow just for the pleasure of playing or taking part in those games of skill that we have at powwows. And well, these days the priests of the reservation no longer attempt to discourage any more stick games or gambling, because they know that no one can stop them. Even the FBI tried it, and then the Sheriff Beaudry and others, and they could not, because if they did try to stop it, they would be breaking the treaty laws. Now, that's about what I know about the conflict between the priests or a religion against the gambling. They could not stop them. And now, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask about what we've covered so far that you'd like to know? And then I can go into language.
Oh, go right ahead.
Oh.
Yeah.
We got about 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes.
Oh, 3.5 minutes.
That's all right. We got another take too, though. So.
Oh, okay.
Just for this take.
Yeah. Now the language is. The Flathead language is considered to be the 4th toughest language in the world. The Chinese, Russian, Turkish, and then the Flathead. And some linguists say that the Basque of near France is the 4th toughest. And I know next to nothing about the Chinese language, but I do know that Russian is so horribly hard. Every time I try to study my Russian textbooks, I become discouraged and just throw it on a bed or something. It's so dang hard. I can never learn it. And now the Turkish is something in the order of the Flathead language, where they may have anywhere from one to several parts of speech in one single word. Now you have to absolutely know the language, the Turkish language, in order to recognize what that one single word means. And it could mean almost the whole sentence on that one single word. And that's what makes the Turkish so hard. Now, the Flatheads have had lexical suffix for just about every noun there is known in the Flathead language. Now, they also use a prefix, lexical prefixes, which is used in verbs or adjectives. Now, I have given examples about those two, where the name of the verb or adjective changes along with the lexical suffix of the noun, then you cannot recognize the words at all unless you knew what those lexical suffixes are. Now, there are countless number of words that I do not know the meaning of, even at my age, and I have asked the old-timers what those words mean. They'd say, I do not know. Those words are lost now. I don't think anyone knows. Now, the unfortunate thing is that the modern Flathead dictionaries do not have those lexical suffixes in a dictionary. Therefore, whoever writes dictionaries from now would be advised to write all the suffixes so that those words can be recognized in the future by the future students of the Flathead language. Now, the missionaries found out that when they